Even after that buck for 18 hours.
It's like having like warm milk running through your veins or something.
We have the superior resources and technology.
I don't see anything!
Peter's nasty.
No running next, Tony!
I know exactly what you want!
Should never let you go.
Here we go.
I met Peter Polk at an IFP buzz cut screening, I think. At the time I was working for Howard Shore as his assistant, and we were doing, I think we were finishing up Lord of the Rings. So I had worked there for I think about 4 years, and I felt like it was a good time to move on, and Peter said that he was a producer on what turned out to be the ROOST, and for this classmate of his, Ty West, and he asked if I would be interested in talking to Ty about doing the score. So I talked to Ty. He sent me, I think he sent me a script. It was maybe it was 57 pages for feature film. You know, it was. I didn't talk very much in the conversation. He talked. He acted out the entire script in about 15 minutes on the phone, which was a pretty good indication of who Ty was. It was very entertaining and complete with sound effects. And then I played for him some modern classical music, which he really, really liked. Penderecki and Ligeti, and I remember you guys had a little bit of money, so we spent all that money on getting some good players. I hired a really good friend of mine who had been my roommate, who's Dave Egar, and he was playing with, he was one of the founders of the Flux Quartet. And we used all of the guys from Flux for the next project I did with you guys, which was your film, The Last Winter. The scope of that film and just you shooting in Iceland, and the look of the film and everything, and also your whole thing with the, you know, am I really seeing what I'm seeing? That kind of the reliable / unreliable narrator. What's interesting about the stuff that you guys do is the stories make you interested in the characters, and you're concerned about the characters, so when someone dies, you actually care about it. So that sort of repeated piano note or rhythmic piano thing has, yeah, that's found its way into a lot of things for me since then.
So let's come in with that in beat 3 of 18.
Good.
Okay. So we're gonna do
Loud or?
Start out like mezzo forte.
The next thing we did was Ty's second film, which was Triggerman, and for that one, that was small budget and quick film. But I had the idea, I wanted to go and do, to just use a cello and just try to see how many different sounds I could get out of that. And I was particularly interested in, because Dave and I had done some stuff with using delays and things like that, and then having him play off of the delays. Big place, and we recorded his percussion there, but then we also went out in the hallway and he was like hitting the railing and the stairs and everything, and made a really, really cool sound. Liberty Kid. And that was, yeah, that was like another, again, like completely different direction. A lot of fun to do that.
Are you guys registered to vote? Yeah. Get those wheels, man. We're gonna be rolling. You know what I'm saying? We a team. So I see it as if I make money, you make money. We both make money together.
Are you guys registered to vote?
Come on, man. We a team, baby. I mean, if you get that.
You know, I'd worked with Graham so much with him as the sound designer before, and then now he was the writer-director, and then he had written some score for it. So we had to go and kind of get all that stuff to fit together as one thing. And it's so funny because, you know, people always think of Danny Elfman, but to me, it's like, it's Ennio Morricone. It's like totally Morricone, you know, with the weird instruments and the percussion and the xylophone and all that kind of stuff. Every bell and whistle. And he actually was the one who went and got the Saw Lady out of the subway. And he wanted everything. So he wanted a whistler. And a friend of mine whistled. He's a very good musician, but he whistles really well as well. So he whistled on that. And then Angus had played violin as a kid, and then he got a teacher who's a teacher. It was like one of the violinists from the LA Philharmonic, you know, to tutor him. You know. And so I wrote that piece for him, you know, and he played that on screen. Well, Skin and Bones was actually in the middle of I Sell the Dead. Yes, right, and then the dulcimer, again, it was like the rhythmic single note piano thing this time with a dulcimer. Yeah, and then the next thing would have been, I think, House of the Devil. And he did say that he liked the Changeling and he was interested maybe in some kind of piano thing. But then it's like, how do you move away from the obvious? So what I decided to do with that was to use prepared piano. I retuned one of the pianos. So it just made for a weird, interesting sound. You know, he said to me, the movie's called House of the Devil, so you know that something's going to happen. The question is when, and just keeping the audience on the hook. It was like, how do we do that with the music? And I think the next film was Bitter Feasts.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! We've got the dinner rush! Wake up! Wake up! Fire those entrees! Fire those entrees!
He might have even mentioned like the Iron Chef or something like that, you know, that show. The chefs are like serious and they're like, you know, they take themselves seriously and it's like, they're almost like samurai, you know, they're like warriors, you know. So he wanted to punctuate things with that kind of percussion. So anybody who watches those things, I think you can hear you know, it's the same person doing the music for them. I mean, all the scores sound, I think they sound different, but there's some common things for sure. What Jim had was, he had in his mind that it was like a collapse of society. So things got more and more isolated as society decayed and people broke off into these smaller groups, and actually in the case of the main characters, they kind of form a family, right? And so he wanted things to get more intimate as that happened. So there's actually a bigger sound to things, and then it gets more and more, it sort of pares down and gets more intimate. And again, you start to learn about the characters and know the characters more, and you care about the characters more, and then all hell breaks loose. then you and Mike Ryan introduced me to Kelly. What's great about working with her is, you know, I'm working on the score while she's editing. So there's like a much more of a back and forth process. Obviously the visuals influence the score, but then sometimes the score can go back and influence what she's doing in the edit. It's a really collaborative, creative process. It was actually Bitter Feast, Meek's Cutoff, Stakeland, and then Innkeepers. I try to come up with things that you can take in different directions. So because this is like a ghost story, things needed to kind of be able to like float a little bit and just kind of hover. And to me, it was a little Bernard Herrmann-esque, you know, like these little musical motifs that could kind of go in different directions. I think you said something about like you wanted it almost like a music box, like opening something. After the Glass Eye side projects, yeah, there was a radio show, and then I got involved with Supermassive because of you and Graham. And the first thing they had me do was the opening titles for Until Dawn, which was they wanted to use Oh Death, which is a traditional song. Then they had me do Hidden Agenda, was the one after that. And so that was like doing the whole score for that.
Take 8. Here we go.
So then, with everything that's going on now, you know, you guys asked me to help out on Jack's movie, which he did a great score for Foxhole. Well, so Jack he had written the score, but it was all kind of just to picture, and there were no metronome markings or any kind of consistent pulse to the thing. So first thing I had to do was go in and make like a tempo and meter map for things, and then orchestrate all that stuff for the live musicians.
Let's try the B an octave higher.
You know, we just talked about bringing the audience into the world of the film through the score, and then the other big thing to me that scores can do for a project is thread the narrative and to carry you through the story and to bring all the different things together, maybe remind you of something that's happened earlier. So I tried to get him to focus on having material that you could bring back and, you know, remind the audience of these different things. And then because it's these 3 different stories and these 3 different time periods, so how do you go and pull them together? That's what we talked about, and he did a really good job of doing just that. I mean, that's the cool thing about doing all this, is that you know, there's never any one way, and there's always something more to learn.